guys, I'm Shivani Trehan and welcome back to my channel Social Cravings. Now I really hope you're enjoying the mini series on gluten. In the first video I had spoken about what is exactly gluten and who needs to go gluten free. In the second video I spoke about products containing gluten and products where gluten may be hiding. Now this is the third video in which I am going to be talking about all gluten-free flours. Not really all, but most of them I think. And now I'm not kidding, almost all those flours are in my house. And there are over 15 varieties of gluten-free flours that we will be talking about today. So in this video, I'm going to talk about all the flours one by one. What are the benefits of each of those flours? And then for what purpose could those flours be used for? Now considering roti, chapati, paranthas, puris are such a big staple in Indian households, let's start by discussing perhaps what could be the flours that could be used for such purposes. Now luckily the Indian land is full of gluten-free flours which are enriched with nutrients. They're available in abundance and they're inexpensive as well. So I'm actually going to talk about all the flours that are there in my house and what we normally use for cooking. Now for roti, chapati, paranthas or puris, we normally use flours like, let's talk about the first two millets, which is ragi, finger millet. Then you have bajra atta, which is pearl millet. We also use sorghum, which is jowar atta. We use buckwheat flour, which is kutuka atta. We use chickpea flour, which is besan, and we use maize flour, which is makki ka atta. In fact, I have already shared a recipe of a gluten-free puri previously, which I will link down below, and that was made with makki ka atta. Now, ragi flour is actually usually used for rotis, and there's a lot of South Indian cooking that happens with ragi. So you will see a lot of idlis, dosas, uttapams, and you will also see that a lot of pizzas use ragi as their base. Like a lot of restaurants also, you will notice they use ragi flour as a pizza base. Now next is kutuka atta, buckwheat flour. Now buckwheat flour is a very good source of fiber and helps in controlling your blood sugar. Now we use buckwheat flour at home to make rotis. You can make pancakes, crepes, wraps, bread with it. You also get buckwheat noodles, though we don't make the noodles at home, but yes, I think they're available in the market. The next one is sorghum, which is jowar flour. Now jowar flour is a powerhouse of nutrients. It is rich in fiber, protein, vitamins, minerals, in antioxidants and more. So you can use jowar atta to make roti, to make breads. It can be used for baking. It can also replace almond flour and a quinoa flour. It is more nutritious and it is less expensive. Now the next gluten-free flour we are going to talk about is chickpea flour, also known as besan, also known as Bengal gram flour, also known as garbanzo bean flour. Now this is rich in protein, fiber, iron, calcium, and it has more protein than even quinoa, and it is less expensive. Obviously this flour is used for a lot of Indian cooking. You can make besan ka chila, you can make besan ke laddu, sugar free, and you can also make khandvi, you can make dhokla, you can make a lot of Indian sweets with it. But it can also be used for making brownies, pizzas, noodles, pastas and more. And let's not forget, in India, besan is used a lot on the skin, but we are not here to discuss that. Also, bajra, which is pearl millet, again a powerhouse of nutrients. It can be used, it has a nutty flavor. It can be used to make roti, theplas, crepes, wraps and more. Now the next flour, which is maize flour, makki ka atta. Now this is rich in fiber, antioxidants, B vitamins, omega-6 and more. And it is also rich in iron and zinc. It is also apparently very good for eyesight. It is obviously used a lot as a winter food which is used to make roti, and as I said, you can make puris out of it. You can also use it for breakfast cereals to make muffins, donuts, pancakes and more. Now we're going to talk about rice flours. So one is your brown rice flour and the other one is your white rice flour. And in case you don't have like flours that you bought from the market, you can just use your brown rice or your white rice, put it in a mixie and make a flour out of it. Now brown rice flour, because it is made with unhulled rice, it is more nutrient dense. So it has a lot of protein, fiber, and it is rich in iron. And it has a more nutty flavor and a gritty texture. Brown rice flour can be used for a lot of baking recipes. It can be used as a mix for breads and cakes as well. Now white rice flour. White rice flour is not very nutritious, and it has a neutral flavor, so it works really well. So you can use it to make dosas, uttapams. You can even use it in cakes to make biscuits. You can also use it to make dumplings. You can use it for rice noodles, pastas, spaghettis, and most of these are readily available in the market, so you really don't have to make it on your own at home. Now let's talk about the next set of flours which can be used for baking purposes. So in this we have flours like almond flour, quinoa flour, oats flour and coconut flour. So let's first talk about almond flour. Now almond flour is one of my favorite flours which can be used for baking. However, it's quite expensive, obviously looking at the rate of almonds itself. Now when you see almond flour, you'll notice it's a very fine flour. It's made using blanched almonds. It is nutrient dense and it is high in fiber and fats. So this form of flour is obviously very good for baking. You can make a lot of breads with it, and most cake recipes like gluten-free cake recipes will use almond flour. Now let's talk about coconut flour. Obviously it has a really strong flavor of coconut. It is high in fiber and it also has a low glycemic index, so it helps to control your blood sugar. Now it can be used for a lot of baking recipes, so you can use it again for cakes, brownies, donuts, muffins, cookies, and it pairs really well with almond flour. So usually in baking you will notice, whether it's a bread recipe or a cake recipe, that usually different flours are used in combination. Now let's talk about quinoa flour. Now quinoa flour is rated higher than oats flour and white rice flour. Now why more than white rice flour? Because it has more protein and more fiber content in it. And why more than oats flour? Because quinoa has more vitamins and minerals than oats. Now quinoa flour is again used for a lot of baking recipes. So you can use it for cakes, cookies, biscuits, muffins and more. You can even use it as a pizza base, and it usually pairs well with other flours. Now let's talk about oats flour. Now oats are very rich in protein, fiber, iron and calcium. Now oats are usually considered naturally gluten-free. However, they might be processed in a facility where gluten might be present. So you want to buy oats on which, the package should say, the label should say that it is gluten-free oats. And again, oats flour can be easily made at home. You just need some rolled oats, put them in a mixie and you have your oat flour. Now oats flour is very sturdy in texture and it pairs well with all other flours, and it is also used in a lot of baking recipes. Now let's talk about the next category of flours, which are either starches or have very high starch content in them. Now they might not be very nutritious, but they act as very good thickening agents. Now the first one is tapioca flour. Now tapioca flour is native to Brazil. It comes from the root of cassava plant. So you can use tapioca flour to either make rotis. You can also use it as a thickening agent to use in gravies. You can use it as fillings, or you can again use it as a thickening agent for sauces. You can even use it for making pie crust. In fact, I had baked a lemon cake, and like a lemon cake recipe, and I had used tapioca flour as the base for it. Now the next flour we're going to talk about is banana flour or green banana flour. Now green banana flour is obviously rich in potassium. It is also a very good source of prebiotic fiber, which means that it also promotes the growth of good bacteria in the body. Now banana flour is again high in starch content and can be used as a thickening agent for baking or for cooking purposes. Banana flour can also be used as a replacement for wheat flour, for rice flour. It can also be used as a replacement for xanthan gum and sugars, especially in sauces. And yes guys, I have banana flour also in my house and we have used it. So the next two, I'm going to club the next two, which is basically potato starch and corn starch. Now these are again there in our house and they literally have no nutrients in them. All the protein and fiber has been removed. They're pure starches, so they can be used as thickening agents and can be added to anything to thicken it up. So basically your potato, corn and tapioca starch, which are pure starches, have no nutrients in them and should only be used as thickening agents. Now let's talk about the next flour, which is very important to Indian origin, and it's called Sattu. Now Sattu is made using horse gram or is made using Bengal gram. Now either white chanas or the black chanas. And the difference between besan and Sattu is that in Sattu, the chanas are roasted and then grounded. In besan, they are directly grounded. Sattu again is a powerhouse of nutrients. It keeps the body cool. It is very good for people with diabetes. It also aids in weight loss and it helps to flush toxins out of the body. And obviously when made with horse gram, which is black chanas, it is very, very rich in iron content and can help people with anemia problems as well. Now you know that black chanas or horse gram is fed to horses so that they run harder and faster. So you can imagine the amount of nutrients in it and the amount of energy that you will get after consuming Sattu. Sattu flour can be used to make porridge, puri, parantha, upma. You can also make a lot of Indian desserts and sweets with Sattu. And you can also make a lot of health drinks using Sattu flour. Wow guys, I think we've definitely covered over 15 varieties of flours and that is incredible. These are all gluten-free flours and starches that you can use for your everyday cooking and baking. So yes, you can see that there's so many options available and they're definitely more nutritious than your regular wheat, atta and rice that we are used to consuming all the time. I believe what is recommended is to mix the sort of flours that you're using in your household, because that not only gives you a variety of things to eat at home, but it also gives you a variety of nutrients. And that's it for today guys. I really hope that this video was informative and helpful. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe and wait for me to share some more videos with all of you. Until then, lots of love.